Barcelona have reportedly contacted Manchester United over the potential signing of Jadon Sancho, with Manchester United asking for one of their stars in exchange. All of the latest on the Ugarte and Joshua Zirkzee deal, plus also an update on Erik ten Hag's new contract. These are just some of the stories we will be discussing on this morning's show. But before we get into that, please smash a like on today's video. Let's try and see 200 likes on this morning's show. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel. I'm live every single day at 8:30 a.m. and 6 p.m. UK time. So if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe, get involved. YouTube has told me that only 50% of people who watch these videos are subscribed. So if you're one of those people who isn't subscribed, please go and subscribe. Doesn't cost any money, really helps the channel, and I would massively appreciate it. But right, let's get straight on into the show though. I wanted to start the show off by talking about some outgoings because we have got a bit of an update for you on Victor Lindelof and Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Two players who look likely to leave Manchester United this summer. There are lots of interest in both clubs. Galatasaray have reportedly submitted a bid of around 10 million euros for Aaron Wan-Bissaka, which has been rejected by Manchester United, and rightly so. 10 million euros is literally pocket change, I'm sorry, in the world of football. And Aaron Wan-Bissaka at the age of 26 is definitely worth a lot more than 10 million euros. I would keep him for that amount of money. I think unless we're talking, 20, 30 million pounds, then it's completely pointless, really. He's not on big wages. He's a very, very good defensive right back. He's not very good going forward. I get that. But yeah, I think it's absolutely ridiculous, to be honest. And I'm very glad that Manchester United have rejected this initial offer. But there is apparently an expectation that Manchester United and Galatasaray will find a middle ground and Wan-Bissaka will effectively be sold. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not desperate to see Wan-Bissaka go. I think, in an Erik ten Hag style system, he doesn't really suit because he's not very attacking, but he's still a good right back. He's probably one of the best defensive right backs in the Premier League, I think. But obviously his attacking game is quite weak, being completely honest with you. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what you guys think. How much do you think Aaron Wan-Bissaka is worth? Like, what would be his value? I think he's worth about 20 million, but maybe I'm being a bit, bit biased. I think 20 million should be the asking price for Wan-Bissaka, though. That's my opinion. But keeping on the topic of Wan-Bissaka, apparently Everton have also approached Manchester United for Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and Everton have also approached for Victor Lindelof, which is really, really interesting. So they effectively want to buy two of our players, and we want to buy, obviously, Jarrad Branthwaite, don't we? Now, is there a world where we do a swap deal? Jarrad Branthwaite comes to Manchester United, and we send Lindelof and Aaron Wan-Bissaka to Everton. I would love for that to happen because I think both Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Victor Lindelof are decent players, but they probably don't suit Erik ten Hag's system. We're not going to give Everton 70 million for Jarrad Branthwaite. I'm sorry, that's absolutely ridiculous. Everton are living on the moon. Like, there is no way on earth that he's worth anything near 70 million. He's probably worth 40, maybe 50 at a very, very push. I think, Wan-Bissaka and Lindelof are probably worth, 20 million for Wan-Bissaka, maybe 15 million for Lindelof. What's that, 35 million for the two of them? Maybe you give Everton an extra 5 million, 10 million just to, as a deal sweetener. I think it's a good deal. And I think it would be a welcome deal at Manchester United because both the players' wages would be cleared, which would obviously help our financial fair play situation. I think Wan-Bissaka's on about 100k a week, and Victor Lindelof, I'm just going to check for you guys now. Victor Lindelof is on 120k a week, and Wan-Bissaka's on 90k a week. So that's £210,000 a week that would be removed from the wage budget. I think it's great. I think it would be really, really clever business, and I really hope that Manchester United can kind of get this deal together, But it'd be interesting to see what you guys think. Would you do a swap deal, Aaron Wan-Bissaka and Victor Lindelof, in exchange for Jarrad Branthwaite? Let me know in the comment section. Let me know what your thoughts are. Somebody in the chat is talking about Ralf Rangnick. Yeah, I mean, for anybody who's unaware, Austria just finished top of their group in the Euros, ahead of the Netherlands and ahead of France. They just beat the Netherlands last night. The amount of disrespect that Ralf Rangnick received from the English media is an absolute disgrace, and it shows you how clueless some of them are. Ralf Rangnick came into Manchester United And he effectively ruffled some feathers, didn't he? He said Rashford could leave. He said that we needed to sell. What did he say? We needed 10 players to be sold. We needed open heart surgery. What did the Glazers do? They get rid of him. He then goes and manages Austria and has just finished ahead of France and the Netherlands in the Euros. Like, he is a really, really good coach. So I'm really glad that Ralph Rangnick has proved all the haters wrong, because yeah, he could have massively improved Manchester United if they'd have kept him, but it is what it is, isn't it? Typical English media, they're clueless, they don't know what they're talking about, and they threw him under the bus. And so did the Glazers. Okay, let's move on to this Jadon Sancho story then, shall we, really quickly? Let's do a poll, actually. Let's do a poll. And the question's going to be simple. Would you still want De Jong at United? Simple question. Let me know in the comment section your thoughts. Would you still want to see Frankie De Jong at Manchester United? Let me know in the comment section. So this story's coming out from Manchester Evening News, and it's saying that apparently Barcelona in the last 24 hours have approached Manchester United about signing Jadon Sancho. Great. It says that apparently Manchester United have asked for £40 million for Jadon Sancho. Juventus are apparently interested as well. But both Juventus and Barcelona feel that apparently it's too much money. And apparently Barcelona are looking for a loan deal, which is an absolute joke. Like, why would we loan him out again? But the story then goes on to say that apparently Manchester United have gone back to Barcelona and said they would be willing to accept a player plus cash deal. And there's 3 players that apparently Manchester United have said they'd be willing to take in exchange for Jadon Sancho. So those 3 players are Frankie De Jong, Vitor Roque, and Ronald Araujo. I'll be honest with you. I would take Ronald Araujo any day. I would take Frankie De Jong any day. I don't know about Vitor Roque, to be honest. Like, yeah, I know he's a young striker, isn't he? 19 years of age, Brazilian striker, moved to Barcelona last summer for 40 million euros. I don't think he's really played any football for them, has he? He's only played 300 minutes this season, which is what, 3 games? I mean, it might work. I don't know. But yeah, I would love to see Frankie De Jong come to Manchester United. I would love to see Ronald Araujo come to Manchester United. I think it would be a really, really good deal. We need to get rid of Jadon Sancho. It seems to be that his value and his wages seem to be a problem for a lot of the top clubs. They're not willing to pay him 250k a week, and they're not also willing to invest £40 million in signing him. So it might have to be that we do some sort of clever swap deal. Obviously, we spoke about Juventus apparently offering us Federico Chiesa in exchange for either Mason Greenwood or Jadon Sancho. So I think this summer could be lots of these kind of strange swap deals. They don't really happen that often, right? But like they do happen sometimes. But I think what I'm trying to say is, now that the financial fair play rules have got stricter for everyone, I think we will start having to see these types of games, like what it's like in the NBA, isn't it? Like, you can't buy players in the NBA; you have to only swap players. It's completely different. Dave says Barcelona are in the Champions League. Why would they come to Manchester United? That's a fair point. Maybe that argument then points towards the Vitor Roque guy, because although Barcelona are in the Champions League, Roque doesn't play ever for Barcelona. He's only played 300 minutes all season, whereas Frankie De Jong and Araujo are first-team starters for Barcelona. So maybe it's more likely that Manchester United would try and bring in Vitor Roque. But then at the same time, if we're going to sign Joshua Zirkzee, do we need to sign Vitor Roque? They're both strikers. Like, I don't know. That's the question. But it'll be interesting to see what you guys think. Would you still want Frankie De Jong at Manchester United if we could get that deal done? Barcelona are desperate to sell players because of their financial restraints they're under. They're in a complete mess. They're in loads of debt. So it does look like some of Barcelona's biggest stars will be leaving the club this summer. And that does present an opportunity to Manchester United and to other clubs to go to Barcelona and to try and bring in some of their bigger stars for a cut price deal, which, you know, can happen. Everyone who's just joined the video, if you could do me a small favour and smash a like, that would be really, really appreciated. We've got over 400 people watching live right now, which is absolutely amazing. Let's try and see 200 likes on today's video. So if everybody goes and likes it right now, we will hit that likes target. And if this is your first time watching, Please do subscribe to the channel as well. I'm live every single day at 8:30 a.m. and 6 p.m. UK time. We're only 5 subscribers away from 24,100. So if this is your first time watching, please do go and subscribe and let's try and hit that next milestone. Okay, let's bring you a bit of an update on Joshua Zirkzee and Manuel Ugarte then, shall we? So let's start off with Manuel Ugarte. Obviously, the big story that broke yesterday is that Manchester United are in talks with PSG to sign 23-year-old Uruguayan central defensive midfielder Manuel Ugarte. This has been reported by Sky Sports, Fabrizio Romano. Who else has reported it? Pretty much all of the kind of top people in the journalism world have reported this story. Now, at first, it was a little bit unclear as to what this deal would be, but I've managed to get a little bit more information from a couple of other people, and apparently PSG would be willing to do a loan with an option to buy. Manuel Ugarte only moved to PSG last summer from Sporting Lisbon for 60 million euros, which is about 50 million pounds. It hasn't really worked for him at PSG, not because he's not good enough, but because of the other options that PSG have had in their midfield, which has effectively meant that his game time has been really, really limited. And as I said, that's not because he's a bad player. He is widely regarded as one of the best central defensive midfielders in the world, especially the best up-and-coming central defensive midfielders. So don't be concerned by the fact that he's not played that many games, okay? Because the thing that's happened at PSG is obviously they've got Vitinha, who's unbelievable, really, really good central midfielder. They've also brought through this Warren Zaire-Emery from the youth academy, who's only 18. He's played like literally every single game. They've got Danilo Pereira, who's obviously a little bit older, but a very good CDM. And then they've also got Ethan Mbappe, who is Kylian Mbappe's brother. So effectively, all of this has meant that his game time has been really, really limited. It's kind of like the Kobe Mainoo situation at Manchester United. No one expected Mainoo to be starting every single game for Man United this season. You know, even the biggest Mainoo fan sitting there at home today could not 100% tell me that at the beginning of the season, they thought that Mainoo would play as much as he did. You know, he shocked everybody. And it's kind of the same over at PSG. None of the PSG fans expected this Zaire-Emery guy to be playing every single game this season. And it's really left a difficult situation for Manuel Ugarte because PSG invested heavily in him last season. As I said, 60 million euros they spent bringing him from Sporting Lisbon. But what this now means for Manchester United is it presents us with an opportunity. There is this potential of a loan with an option to buy, which I think would be absolutely perfect for Man United because we all know that our budget is going to be relatively restricted this summer. We need to sell to buy. That's the kind of narrative. So if we were able to bring in Manuel Ugarte on loan initially for a season with an option to buy, kind of like what we did with Sofian Amrabat with Fiorentina, where at the end of the loan we can sign him for X amount of money, I think it's a no-brainer. You know, there are lots and lots of clubs who are interested in this player. Liverpool were trying to sign him last summer. Chelsea were trying to sign him last summer. And some journalists have even gone as far as saying that apparently Manchester United had a bid rejected yesterday, which is really, really interesting. I'm trying to find out the exact amount of money that was involved in this bid, but apparently PSG rejected the bid because they thought it was way below their asking price. And I think that's where this story of a loan with an option to buy has come in. The one thing I really, really like about this player is he is exactly what Manchester United need. We've been desperately crying out for this CDM to fill that void in midfield for probably a decade. We thought Casemiro was going to be that player. He was for about 6 months in his first season, but then he's obviously fastly dropped off and, let's be honest, probably needs to be moved on. Christian Eriksen isn't a CDM. McTominay isn't a CDM. Donny van de Beek isn't really a CDM. Hannibal wasn't a CDM. Mainoo's not really a CDM either, I don't think, personally. I think Mainoo's still trying to find his kind of way. I think he's probably better further up the pitch. But, Ugarte is a CDM. He's like, you know, a Rodri or... I can't think of any others off the top of my head, or a Declan Rice. You know, he is a central defensive midfielder. He's absolutely perfect for what Manchester United need. And the really, really good thing about this deal is he's not on ridiculous wages, okay? Because obviously I know everyone sat at home is going to be thinking, oh, we're going to give him 500k a week. He's not on crazy wages at PSG. He currently earns £100,000 per week at PSG. So that's really not breaking the wage bank for Man United. As I said, Aaron Wan-Bissaka's on £90,000 a week. I think Scott McTominay earns about £100,000 a week. So you can bring in somebody who is regarded as one of the best young central defensive midfielders in world football, and you're not going to break the bank on the wage structure. You know, if you compare £100,000 a week with Casemiro at Manchester United at the age of 32 is being paid £350,000 a week. Let that sink in for a minute. Donny van de Beek, I can't remember the last time I saw Donny van de Beek in a Man United shirt. Donny van de Beek is earning £120,000 a week at Manchester United. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. And the point I'm trying to get across to you here is us giving Manuel Ugarte £100,000 a week is an absolute bargain when you compare it with the rest of our wages, because we massively overpay on some very average players. So for me personally, I think it's an absolute no-brainer. I would love to see him at Manchester United. I'll be honest with you. I think he would be a more sensible signing than João Neves. The reason for that is that PSG are willing to do a deal. PSG are open to loaning him out with that option to buy. Whereas Benfica want £100 million for João Neves. It's not realistic. As much as I would love João Neves at Manchester United to fill that central midfield role, it's not realistic at the moment. You know, we're having to scrape money together to buy players. And it will be very, very difficult for us to pull £100 million out of thin air to go and buy João Neves. But yeah, so that's the update on Manuel Ugarte. I do expect Manchester United to go back in with a second approach in the next couple of days or weeks. And yeah, I would 100% go for it. Let's see what people are saying in the chat. Somebody says, Ugarte would be perfect for us. He's the missing piece in our midfield. I agree with you 100%, my friend. I really, really do. Let's see what else people are saying. Remy says, Edison Alvarez from West Ham has way more technique than this Ugarte fellow. Sign him. The thing is with Edison Alvarez, you're buying him from a direct rival in the Premier League. The amount of money is going to be 60 million, 70 million. And Man United don't have that type of money, whereas bringing in a central defensive midfielder on loan for one season with that option to buy at the end of it, if it works out, great. If it doesn't, then you can move them on. Whereas if we spend, 50% of our transfer budget on Edson Alvarez, we probably spend all summer negotiating the deal. I think it's probably not the best use of our time or money. Alex says, would you take Ugarte over Amadou Onana? Let's do a poll, shall we? Let's do a poll. Whilst I'm setting up the poll, everybody who's watching the video, please smash a like. And make sure you subscribe as well. We've got over 550 people watching now, which is amazing. So please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel as well if you're new. So we're going to do this. Who would you prefer? Give me 1 second, everybody, just to set up this poll. Manuel Ugarte, Amadou Onana, Youssef Fofana, Sofiane Amrabat. Okay, cool. So the poll is now live. Those are the kind of 4 central defensive midfielders that we're most likely to go for this summer. Let me know in the comment section if you're watching this back on repeat. You've got 4 options to choose from, okay? These are the realistic options. People are going to say João Neves, but it's probably not realistic. So these are the 4 options we've got at the moment. Manuel Ugarte from PSG, Amadou Onana from Everton, Youssef Fofana from Monaco, and Sofiane Amrabat from Fiorentina. You can only pick one, okay? One choice. Let me know in the comment section below. And whilst you're getting your comments in and whilst you're getting your votes in, I will bring you the latest on Joshua Zirkzee. Okay, so Joshua Zirkzee. Manchester United have apparently been in contact with Bologna and have apparently triggered the release clause, which now allows them to legally speak to Joshua Zirkzee, as well as legally speak to his agent. So as it stands right now, apparently Manchester United and his agent, Joshua Zirkzee's agent, are currently negotiating over the agent commission and also over wages. I think this deal will happen. I would say I'm 80-90% sure that Joshua Zirkzee will become a Manchester United player. The official date that the release clause becomes active is on the 1st of July. But Man United have apparently been in contact with Bologna, and have told them that they will be triggering that release clause on the 1st of July, which effectively allows them to do due diligence and to negotiate terms between now and the 1st of July. The 1st of July is on Monday, so we haven't got very long to wait. Apparently, Joshua Zirkzee wants to wait until after the Euros to decide his future. I spoke about this on the show a couple of days ago. I don't really understand the logic behind that. He's not even playing for the Netherlands. He's been sat on the bench for every single game. I don't think he even played yesterday either. And being completely honest, the likelihood is that England will probably be playing the Netherlands on Sunday. Obviously, England have qualified to the next round. Netherlands finished third in their group. So obviously I support England. So all being well, the Netherlands will be out of the Euros by Sunday. And that will then allow us to push through that deal for Joshua Zirkzee next week. So hopefully that happens. I'm just double checking if he did play at all yesterday. No, he was on the bench, unused substitute on the bench again. So so far in the Euros, he hasn't played 1 minute of football. He's just been on the bench the whole time, which is obviously frustrating for him, but that's just how football works. So in relation to a bit more finer details on the Zirkzee deal, obviously he has a £34 million release clause, which Man United are obviously willing to trigger. The agent is currently asking for £12 million in agent commission fees, which is ridiculous. But apparently he has a very good relationship with Ineos and is willing to lower that agent commission. Obviously, people will know that AC Milan were the ones leading the race for Joshua Zirkzee, but they weren't willing to pay the agent commission. So that deal effectively fell through. Manchester United are more willing to pay the agent commission, but apparently it will be somewhere around £6 to £8 million is what I'm being told, the agent commission, which is still a lot of money. I get it. It's frustrating. Agent commissions need to be taken out of football. Like, the player should pay the agent, not the football club, in my opinion. Like, the agent effectively works for the player. He doesn't work for the football club. But anyway, that's a whole conversation for a whole nother day. Felix says, Weghorst getting playtime over Zirkzee is strange. The thing is, right, Weghorst is a very unique style player, and Zirkzee is very different to Weghorst. They bring on Weghorst when they need to get a goal, like last minute. You know, they send the ball forward and Weghorst kind of controls it and passes it to somebody else. Yeah. Amlat says Zirkzee prefers Milan over United. I think personal terms will be an issue. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. So apparently Zirkzee does want to go to AC Milan, which has obviously frustrated quite a lot of the Man United fan base. You know, that we're going for a player who ultimately doesn't want to come to the club. He wants to go to AC Milan. The thing is, right, sometimes it's like that in football. AC Milan are in the Champions League. We're not. AC Milan are in Italy. Zirkzee currently plays in Italy. So there's obviously that, you know, sometimes players want to stay in the country that they're settled. So it's easy for us to get upset about things and to take things personally and to be like, we don't want Zirkzee. If he doesn't want us, we don't want him. But it's just how football is sometimes. And if AC Milan don't want to buy him anymore, then he can want to go to AC Milan all he wants. But AC Milan isn't an option on the table anymore. There is obviously still the risk that AC Milan come back in a couple of days and say, oh, we will sign him now. But my understanding is that AC Milan are now looking at alternative targets. AC Milan are apparently trying to sign Guirassy from Stuttgart. So, yeah, I think we're probably safe, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Somebody in the chat saying they think it will happen next week. Yeah. Felix says if he wants AC Milan, it shouldn't be his agent's call. Yeah, I don't really know how it all works, to be honest. Like with agent commissions and if a player wants to move and all the rest of it. Alex says Bologna isn't far from Milan. Yeah, the thing is, it's easy for us to be like, oh, I don't want him to come to Manchester United. If he doesn't want us, I don't want him. Like, I get it. But you have to sometimes look at these things in a bit of a more simplistic view. He's only young. He's only just moved to Italy. He's only been there for 1 year. Like, maybe he just wants to stay in Italy. Maybe he's got family there. Maybe he's made friends there. Like, I know this all sounds a bit simplistic, but I don't think he's saying that AC Milan are a better club than Manchester United. I think he's just saying that, you know, I don't know, but I'm trying to defend him here because I know some people were really upset about this story that apparently Zirkzee didn't want to come to United and wanted to go to AC Milan. But that's just how football works, isn't it? You know, like you don't always get what you want. I'm sure he'll come to Manchester United and I'm sure he'll work really hard and he'll play for the badge and all the rest of it. So I wouldn't be too concerned about it. I think Man United will get this deal done. And for me personally, it's just a matter of when, not if. There isn't really that many other options out there. The other options, just to give you a bit of a roundup, Man United are apparently speaking to Lille over a potential deal for Jonathan David. £25 million is the fee that's being mentioned. He's only got 1 year left of his contract. Tottenham are interested in him and Arsenal are interested in him and Chelsea. So that one's not a particularly easy deal to do. I would still probably rather go with Zirkzee over Jonathan David. The other options are Guirassy, but he's got a lot of interest. Dortmund, Bayern Munich, Chelsea, AC Milan. And then the final one is Ivan Toney, who I personally think is a little bit too much. He's going to cost you 50, 60 million pounds, and he's 28 years of age. I think Ivan Toney would massively hamper Rasmus Højlund's development. I think it would be a really, really big issue, to balance their game time. I think someone like Zirkzee or Jonathan David would be perfect because it allows Manchester United to have two young strikers who are effectively learning and growing together. Whereas you bring in someone like Ivan Toney from Brentford, he's going to want to start every single game, and rightly so. He's 28. He's probably only got 5 years left at the top level. Why would he come and sit on the bench and be, a backup option for Rasmus Højlund? Like, it doesn't make any sense. But it'd be interesting to see what you guys think. Like, if you had to pick one striker from that list, who would you go for? Jonathan David, Ivan Toney, Guirassy, or Zirkzee? Who would you go for? Let's have a look at the results of the poll then. So 54% of people who are watching the show today want Manchester United to sign Manuel Ugarte. 20% want Sofian Amrabat. 15% say Amadou Onana. And 11% say Youssouf Fofana. So there's a massive majority who want Manuel Ugarte. And I'm in that majority as well. I think he'd be a really, really good signing, especially with this whole loan to buy option for sure. But obviously you can let me know in the comment section your thoughts on all of these things. Who is your preferred CDM? Who is your preferred striker? And if you want, you could even let me know who is your preferred centre-back as well. Why not? Just going to double check if I've got anything else planned for the show. I think I've covered everything. I'm not going to even bother talking about England because that's just going to ruin my morning. I will say this though, Kobbie Mainoo looked good for England last night. For anybody who watched the game, Kobbie Mainoo looked really, really good. He came on and did way more than Conor Gallagher. So hopefully we see some more of Kobbie Mainoo. And I will also say this, I think Marcus Rashford is massively missed from this England side. I know he had a really poor season, but I actually honestly think that Marcus Rashford would massively improve England at the moment. But anyway, we're not an England channel. I just thought I'd throw that in because obviously they're Manchester United players. But I'm going to wrap the video up now. I'm going to go to the dentist, which is going to be fun. I hope everyone has a lovely morning. There will probably be a video at lunchtime, depending on if there's any breaking news or whatever. But if not, I will be live back with you all at 6 p.m. UK time today. Please do make sure to smash a like on the video before you go. It really helps to bring more people into the channel and will allow us to do bigger and better things in the future. And make sure you subscribe as well. Bottom right hand corner. I'm live every single day. It's completely free content. You don't have to pay for it. So if you are in a position to subscribe and to like the video, please do that. Dan says, do you really think England will beat the Netherlands? Final question before I go. I don't know, mate, to be honest. I'll say this, right? England have been terrible so far. But if it clicks, we could be absolutely unbelievable, But the big bit there is if. If England click, they could easily win the Euros, easily. But I'm just not confident it's going to click with Gareth Southgate being the manager. So, yeah, I think Netherlands will be a very, very difficult game for England. Very difficult. And we could easily lose that game. But what I do think will happen is the Netherlands game will be a lot more open than the games we've seen so far. But anyway, I'm going to wrap the video up here. I'll be back at 6 o'clock. Have a great day, everybody. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. This has been Daily Red Devil. Speak to you all later.